So Luzann manages an area in the city of Cape Town that includes the Edith Stephens Nature Reserve. And at her reserve, she's made a great effort to integrate with local community development initiatives, and this has organically led her to work with youth development. The Edith Stephens Nature Reserve is located in the hearts of the Cape Flats. It borders Manenberg, Hanover Park, Gugulethu, Nyanga, Philippi. And so naturally, when communities look to the nature reserve to contribute to development in their community, youth development comes up as something that she needs to engage in. She does this in a whole range of ways, from offering the reserve as a drug counselling venue, a group support, kind of social work group support venue. Gang peace talks have happened at the Edith Stephens Nature Reserve, and also groups working with youth development have used the nature reserve as a base for their activities. Luzann has also pursued biodiversity management initiatives, for example, a project to clear the stormwater detention pond at the park from water hyacinth. She's used those biodiversity management needs to offer opportunities for youth development.
The way I see it, not everybody can get out to Table Mountain, not everybody can go on a wilderness experience, but we can give them that first touch of nature, that first experience of nature. Sometimes it's the only experience they have. We hope that it's not, but sometimes it is the only experience that they have. And the fact that we're accessible, you walk over the road, over the freeway, and you're at Edith. You walk over the road from your house and you're at Edith. And I think that's something special in itself. And then also the contrast between the built environment and what we have gives something special back into the communities, which is, I think that is what urban nature reserves are about, like these little islands of places of recreation. I think that's what we do on the urban sites, and that's what makes us special from a lot of other places. I think working with Case for me was an experience, a learning experience. Working with you, it was our first experience, and
Who are Case?
Okay, Community Action for Safe Environment. Sorry, I forgot that. They an NGO that also worked the same way. Elaine, the person who was running at the NGO at the time, rode past our site, wondered what we were about, and she walked into our gates, and a 3-year project was born out of that. And basically, we had about 15 youth that we had intense contact with through the year.
And those 15 youth, where were they from?
They were in a Case program already, their youth program.
So from Hanover Park?
From Hanover Park. They were in Hanover Park, and they were in that youth program. So we weren't recruiting. They were there already. They were in a program. We just added value to the program that Case was already doing. And I think it was learning for us on the fact that in that 3 years, we played a role and Case played a role. And the importance of both roles when experiencing the spaces, because Eleanor did the guiding of the person, did the guiding of the team, and we did the environmental experience. And I think what happened is we each did our role good, and that's why it made the program a really good program. And we ended up at the youth ended up at Educo, through the wilderness, like a wilderness experience. And I think that was like the climax of all the experiences for that 2 years, and taking those experiences for that 2 years and making it like a tangible change in them. I think, and after that we saw a lot of differences. Like in that group of 15, there's a lot of differences. So that's one of my experiences. I think that was our first real structured experience of youth development. And then later on we did a hyacinth program, and then we brought a youth development element, like a development element, into it as well. And we used those lessons that we learned from Case, and we brought it into that program. And then we learned new lessons about shorter programs with kids, not 3 years, but 6 months, and what do we do in that 6 months, and how important how we engage with them in that 6 months. became very important, and also became very important on how we facilitate. It was obvious that our capacity to facilitate didn't always, we were lacking something in that, which, like in the case program, Eleanor, the facilitator, she brought that, whereas suddenly we were on our own with the Hisense project in the Expanded Public Works program, working with youth, and we didn't have Eleanor or a facilitator, and then suddenly you realize the gaps and how important the partnerships are. And then we had other people come in to help us bring that element in, and we also had a volunteer program that we did before and wasn't structured, but this year we're going to have it structured. And I think, yeah, it's taking those lessons we've learned from all those little things we've done in youth development and really bringing it into a structured program.
Tell us a little bit more about your volunteer program. So it's young people.
Yeah, it's young people. We've had, you know, Edith is, like I mentioned before, accessible. So we've had a lot of youth kind of come through our doors. They're not employed anymore, but they don't want to be at home, and they're looking for something to do. And so we've had many of that kind of youth come through, and what we've realized is we need a structured program for them to, where the experience is beneficial on both sides, where for us and for them, because on the end of the day, you can get bogged down by operational needs, and you can just throw them in and accomplish our operational stuff, but then what is the purpose of the volunteer being there? So we're looking at structuring it. So the point is the volunteers are there already. They've been there for years. It's just that we haven't really thought about that as a real solid program, and we're hoping to start that this year. Yeah.
And what kind of partners who would you partner with around that, or is that something you'll do on your own?
I am looking at partnering with NGOs. I've spoken to the Novopox Civic. We're working with them. We've had 6 of the Novopox Civic group at our reserve during the holidays. So with the recruitment of the youth, we've realized that it needs to come through an NGO, because they kind of give a more solid support for the person. Like they live close to the person, they understand the circumstances of the person, where the person's coming from. So we find that there's more impact with that kind of support. So what we are doing is we're asking the NGOs to recruit for us. So that's how we will do it, yeah. So we've done it before. Like I said, we did it with an Novopox Civic with 6 people over December holidays. What was nice is I wasn't there. My staff was there, and because I've realized that the staff has more contact with these volunteers than what I do, so I've kind of left them in the deep end, and now on the 19th we're having a lessons learned day with my staff and the NGO. So we're going to see how that's going to go. Yeah, and then, you know, the staff is obviously also very operationally focused, but I also have to get them to understand the broader vision of what Edith is about and where we want to go to. So I'm hoping to do that with my staff.
Yeah. And what's happened for you at this workshop that will help you improve what you offer by way of youth development?
I think, especially yesterday, I've realized that it's not something new. Like it isn't something that we have to go and recreate. And there's a lot of people doing it. And I think it reaffirmed the fact that I need to look at the capacity of my staff and what they bring, because they spoke a lot about the facilitators being the important catalyst in the whole process and journey of development. And I think that's important. And then just the methods. It's so important, like the practical things about journaling and getting people to reflect on themselves and creating that space for them to reflect. And I think that's taught me. I mean, before, you know it's important because I learned that in my workspace, how important that is, but you don't sometimes always link it to maybe we should put it in our EE, maybe we should put it in our youth development program. Maybe the skills that I've learned is something that we need to find to teach somebody else. And I'm not talking about skills about plants. I think sometimes we so easily think about how to teach about a plant, but there's other skills that are how to listen to people and how to work in a team, I think. And those are things that I learned here, like techniques of doing that and how to bring those things in. So I think and the networking. I mean, there's amazing people here doing amazing work, and they're so willing to help support you in something that you want to do. And I think that was the best thing about this forum. We should do it again.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna